Welcome to Resume Storyteller with Virginia Franco, bringing you interviews with industry experts and regular folks who tested the job search waters and succeeded, and strategies to tell your story and land your job interviews in 60 days, guaranteed. Here's your host, Virginia Franco.
So thank you so much and welcome to the Resume Storyteller podcast. I have with me interview and career coach Alex Freund. He is known as a landing expert and he helps clients land new positions and get promotions through effective interviewing. Before his career pivot to career coach, though, he was in several leadership roles, including 10 years at Honeywell, Sanofi and Tyco International. For the last 13 years, he's helped more than 900 clients, ranging from managers to CEOs across industries. Today, he blogs, conducts workshops and presentations on interviewing, resumes, LinkedIn, value propositions, personal branding, you name it, he has covered it. And he also publishes the Landing Expert List, which is a free directory of job search networking groups. So, Alex, thank you so much. And we've been dealing with some technical difficulties, so I appreciate your support.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for inviting me.
So, Alex, you heard me give a quick overview of what you do, but I would love to hear from you sort of what prompted you to jump into the role helping people on the other side of the table. I know you've been in the hiring manager space for quite a while.
Well, that's an interesting story. Actually, I never wanted to be what I'm now. I am now a career coach, and my specialty is interview preparation. And how did I get into this? At the age of 60, I found myself being in transition, and I networked a lot, and I met lots of people, and a part of finding a job is to help others while others help you. And at one point, people said, Alex, you should be a career coach. You're very good at this. Honestly, I found on this because I felt I am used to big paychecks and I know career coaching is not paying a lot.
A little smaller.
Yeah, so I wasn't so enchanted with the idea, but I connect very well with people and I want to get a job. And for me to get a job, I need to network with people. And again, people came back to me and then they said, Alex, you're okay, but you have a problem. You're not charging for your services. And one of them convinced me that actually I should ask for money, which was very, very difficult for me.
Yeah.
But guess what I did? I approached an individual that he asked for my help. And you know what he said? No problem. I will pay you. And that was my first paying customer. And by now I have a little over 900.
That's amazing.
And I absolutely love what I do.
I love that the foundation of this career was based on you pounding the pavement, much like your own clients do. That means you understand what they're going through. Now, you mentioned that interview prep is one of your areas of specialty, and I'd love to know, because you've been at this for over a decade, have you seen shifts in how interviewing is being done? Has interviewing changed in the last 10 years?
The answer is yes and no. I'll tell you what, no. After doing this for 13 years, I can tell you that what I was thinking way back and what I think now hasn't changed. And that is 80% of the people that perform interviewing in corporate America do not know how to interview. They don't know what question to ask.
They're not trained,
And they don't know what question to ask. Neither do they know how to interpret properly a candidate's answer. So that is constant. What has changed is that more and more interviews are conducted via the internet. Visual interviewing via a computer is prominent. Yeah. It's more and more. And my prediction is this is the standard for the future. There's no reason for people to waste time inviting people to the office, paying for transportation, hotel, food, etc. It's so easy to do it via Skype or Zoom or any other similar media.
So you think face-to-face, in-person interviews at some point will cease to exist versus now they happen, but later down the road?
Well, the first step could be eliminated and make it very effective and very cheap by doing it via video.
Yeah.
Needless to say, the last steps, perhaps 1 or 2 interviews, will be done in person because, as you well know, there is a saying in our industry: we select for skills, we hire for personality.
Yep.
In order to really gain the benefit of the personality, you really need to meet with that person. And if I were to be the interviewer, I would like to make sure that my team members are comfortable with the personality that we are hiring.
Yeah. Okay. So video interviewing will grow, but you still see a role for face-to-face. And that's where the personality and the culture fit will take place. No, I agree with that. I agree. So on the topic of video interviewing, what tips do you have to help people prepare for, I guess, even before video interviewing, phone screening comes up? At least that's what I've seen. Do you concur with that? And do you feel like the advice for preparing for a phone screen is different than maybe what you might offer when someone is preparing for that Skype or that Zoom interview?
Absolutely. Very, very different. So let's focus a little bit about the phone interview.
Yeah.
First of all, interviewing in general is very difficult for some people. Why? First of all, they know this is very important. And secondly, they're not prepared for it in most cases because people are thinking this way: well, I should be doing well when I go for interviewing. Why? Fact is, I've gotten jobs in the past, so I must have done well then. Now I'm a little more mature. Probably I will do even better. But this is a wrong assumption. So let's focus on the phone interview. Remember, during the phone interview, there are only 2 dimensions that are being evaluated. First, the quality of your voice, and second, the content, whatever you're talking about.
Yeah.
Because the quality of the voice is so very important, I always recommend for people to use a corded telephone, not a cordless telephone.
Really?
Or a mobile telephone. Yes, because fact is, a corded phone, the quality is always good.
So you mean a landline phone, not just I don't even know if I have a corded phone. I have landlines, but they're wired, they're cordless.
Well, no, landline, but corded phone.
Wow. Okay.
Because you see, I'm not going to get into technology, how the telephone operates. But in some situations, the cordless phone, the quality is not good.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Corded phones always, as I'm sure you can attest to it, the quality is better. So that's one.
That's good advice. Okay.
Second, I suggest to people take advantage of the fact that there is no visual part here. They do not see you. So therefore, you can take advantage of that. I suggest to people when they do phone interview to stand up first and not sit. Why? Because you see, when you sit, basically you sit on the lung. You sit on you crouch, and you don't speak clearly. However, when you stand up, you can project your voice. And remember, the quality of your voice is important here. So please do not sit, but stand up.
The standing sort of expands your diaphragm, correct? And allows you to project more that way?
That is correct. And you see, if you sit, you don't even pay attention to your breathing. You're so focused on the content and what your next sentence is going to be alike. And all of a sudden, the quality of your voice is diminishing. When you stand up, you project your voice, you speak much clearer and into the phone. Another tip, I suggest to people to take notes and their resume and post them on their wall somewhere in their office or wherever they conduct the interview, and familiarize yourself where this content is. So when the interviewer is asking you a question, very quickly you can take your eye and talk specifically.
Find it, yeah.
You see, remember, they do not see you. Now, my humor comes out here. I tell to people, be careful when you put Scotch tape on the wall. Make sure you don't.
That's right. Use painter's tape. That's right. You don't want to wreck your walls.
don't have to repaint your wall.
Okay. So phone interviews, stand up, find a corded phone, take your notes and place them strategically across the wall so that you can instantly go to those responses. What about for a online or video interview?
Oh my God. Now we are opening a new page, and this is so very different. Remember, when you have an online video interview, there's so many things that come into consideration.
Yeah.
First of all, typically people use a laptop which is positioned on their desk. By the fact that the camera on the laptop is below your eye level, you bend your head forward, and if you happen to have a double chin, that's only more accentuated. So, also, people like to look into other people's eye, let's say when they are standing or sitting. This way, if the laptop is on your desk, you have to look down. So remember, the person looking at you seems like you look down at them physically.
So do you elevate your laptop?
My suggestion is get yourself a box or any other thing that you can elevate. You want the camera on your laptop to be precisely at the eye level, because then when you talk into your laptop, they see like you talk to them and not down and not up. Another thing, typically the quality of the microphone in your laptop is not very, very good. I always suggest for people to use earbuds, because typically earbuds are better quality than the one that you buy with your computer. Typically, but not always, by the way. So you better check that out. Next, lighting is extremely important. Why? Because a computer camera, by default, focuses on where the light is. If you happen to sit in a position where behind you there is a window, the camera will focus on the window and not on your face. This reminds me, I had a client actually in London several years ago. He was sitting in his kitchen, and my camera highlighted his toaster and coffee maker and not his face. Why? Because he had an under-counter light. So the light accentuated these two devices. He was sitting in a position that his face was in dark, yet I'm very intimately knowledgeable about what toaster he had and what coffee maker he had.
Well, and I can see from ours that my light it looks like I have a giant spotlight behind my head.
Right.
Good thing this is audio.
Yes. So that's what I'm doing typically. Now, the background has to be neutral. Virginia, again, for the purpose of this interview, I set myself up for a video interview because we are doing this video.
Right.
As you can see, what do you see behind me? You see a very neutral color.
Background, that's right.
Okay. Well, I can tell you, this is an artificial background I have. It's hanging from my fire alarm and my lamp in my office. You do not want to have a cluttered background.
Right.
Because naturally the human eye will gravitate to that and not to your face. And this is not good for you.
Yes. I agree. Good thing we're not on video again, because my background could not be more cluttered.
Correct.
Okay, so those are wonderful. So the newest thing that is coming down the pike, and it's now, I've seen it more and more often, are AI-powered video interviewing. HireVue is the one that comes to mind. I'm sure there are others. Have you begun coaching candidates to prepare for those? That's a whole different ballgame.
Absolutely, categorically. This is up and coming. Let me give the audience a little background what this is. Technology has improved to that extent that candidates, many thousands of candidates can apply very easily for openings. This creates an avalanche of incoming applicants to the company. The company can no longer keep hiring people to evaluate resumes and video. So they automated it. Today, the company has opportunity to send the candidate a link asking the person to answer to 5, 6, 10 questions or whatever. They decide what are the questions and what is the duration. Mm-hmm. The person has to talk into the camera on their laptop, which makes it unusually discomforting the candidate. This is very difficult. We're not used to talk into a little light
without seeing anybody on the other end. My son's in college and he's been doing investment banking interviews, and all of the firms have been using it.
That's right. So here's my suggestion to people. First of all, practice makes perfect. Try to practice this with someone doing video interviews, because that forces you to look at the camera as much as you can. That's one.
To practice with someone on the other end.
That's correct.
Okay.
Second, we are not born being outstanding at interviewing. Very few people are. Most people need a lot of help. Guess why I have so much business, by the way? Because people need help. Your best, if you work with someone that is an expert in this area, or a friend or a family member, but practice makes perfect. You must practice answering what I call common interview questions. Some of those questions are the traditional questions, which are, tell me about yourself, what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, why should we hire you, etc. But there are more and more questions which are called behavioral-based questions. Example, tell me a time when you had a conflict with an employee. Walk me through your resume from your college to present in reverse chronological order. Can you give me an example when you needed to learn something new? And there are lots of such interview questions. Some people are very good at this, and some people have difficulties. Again, practice makes perfect.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. And I think when you go to HireVue's sites, they list common questions. I wonder, I have to see if some of those are some of the ones that you listed or some of the ones that they list.
Yeah.
What about wardrobe? We keep reading Gone Are the Days when everyone needs to wear a coat and tie or whatever the female equivalent is. What are your thoughts on that topic? And maybe it differs on if the video is via video or if it's in person.
Okay. Wardrobe. First of all, remember you are the interviewing person. Always dress up half a notch and never down. It's a good idea to have a concept of what is the dress code in the office. Coincidentally, yesterday I worked with a gentleman who lives in Manhattan, and he's interviewing this week in Manhattan. So my advice to him was, take a ride to that building where you will be interviewing and just position yourself for 10 minutes and watch the people walking out or walking into that building. If you see that they are all dressed up, guess what you need to wear? If you see that everything is casual, well, not necessarily you must have a dark jacket and the suit and proper tie. But remember, you are the person interviewing. They can afford being more casual for the sake of interview. True. For the sake of interview, you cannot. So that's one statement about the wardrobe.
And does that apply regardless of if the person is calling you via webcam or in person?
Okay. Well, via webcam, you can be perhaps a little more casual, but remember, every so often, and quite often, people come to me and ask me, Alex, what do you think I should wear? My answer is always the same. Wear something the way you want to be remembered. So, if you're too casual, they will remember you that way. Nothing wrong in dressing half a notch up so that they will remember you the way you represent yourself better. Now, I want to address something about dress. When you are on camera, several ideas. And this is very critical because, you don't control the camera. But
right.
Here are some tips. First of all, as we discussed earlier, make sure you don't have backlight because otherwise your face and you are dark. Second, colors. For men, don't wear a tie that has stripes. Why?
Ooh.
I'll tell you why. Because you do not control the modem speed. Remember, via video, the camera is picking up information. It's sending it via the modem, and at the other end is decoded, and this is how it's happening. So now, if the other party, or even you don't have a fast modem, the colors will start shifting. The colors will start shifting. This is so very annoying and distracting.
So the colors start to look like they're moving around?
Right. And they're not stable. They're shifting, and this is very, very annoying. And instead of them focusing on you,
looking at the price,
Now,
I had no idea. Okay.
Yeah, this also applies. Let's say a woman has a blouse with all kind of pattern or something like that.
Something that's busy.
Yeah, do not wear that. For the sake of the interview, wear a color like a pastel color or a dark suit, but it should be one color.
Solid. Okay.
Solid. Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Also, do not wear, for example, white. When I have a presentation of video interviews, and I show people a slide where the same person, it happens to be Katie Couric. Everybody knows her. Mm-hmm. In one situation, he had a white jacket that was so stark white, it was almost beaming white color.
Interesting. Okay.
So you want something, one color, and anything but snow white.
Okay. So solids, no Snow White, no stripes or busyness in the patterns.
A good idea I would give to people, watch, let's say, evening news or any professional TV program. Watch what type of clothing are they wearing. Are they wearing busy clothing or one color? And you can learn from that.
Okay.
But don't exactly compare yourself to them, because guess what? They spend thousands of dollars on the best equipment.
That's true.
Okay, they don't have a slow modem, by the way.
I'm sure they do not. Okay. So I want to shift gears here a little bit and ask you about the dreaded salary question. More oftentimes the topic question comes up right off the bat and people want to postpone it. I'd love to hear your thoughts on when it should come up and how to handle delaying it if that's what's in order.
I got it. Virginia, one of, I would say 95% of my work is preparing people, executives for interviews. 5% of my business is helping people with salary negotiations.
Okay.
And I am very opinionated how this should go.
Okay.
First of all, the number one mistake that I see absolutely universally is the fact that people go into an interview and the salary and compensation is almost an afterthought, which I can't believe it. I can't believe it. You should have a number in mind when you go interviewing, and you should identify for yourself a kind of what is the minimum you're willing to accept. Assume you're going car shopping. Don't tell me you go to a dealership and, well, anywhere between 20 to 45,000.
Right, or houses, 200,000 to 2 million. That's not going to happen.
Right.
Yeah.
So clearly you have to have the minimum you're willing to accept. That's one. When people ask you, what kind of salary are you looking for? The only thing you should tell them is a range between X and Y. X is the minimum you're willing to accept. Y should be 30% more. Now, why am I saying this? Because we are playing a little psychology here. If you ask me, Alex, what kind of salary are you looking for? My answer would be, Virginia, I'm looking for something between $100,000 to $130,000. And I'm closing my mouth and I'm breathing and I'm not saying one more word. Because anything you say beyond that, it just shows me your weakness. Now, why don't I just say, I'm looking for $100,000. I say 100 to 130 because I want to influence you that, look, I'm willing to take 100. But because of my degrees, because of my accomplishments, because of my skills, I could even fetch $130,000. So I'm just give you an idea where I'm going with this.
Okay, so have your minimum at the bottom, and then 30% higher than that as the top of your range. Okay.
Right. In the salary negotiation business, this tactics is called anchoring. I'm anchoring myself to two extremes, $100,000 to $130,000. And it's most likely the negotiation will happen in between these extremes.
And do you believe the anchoring strategy should be postponed, or are you okay with, when asked, applying it?
Okay, thank you for asking. It's so important to clarify this point. By the way, when I work with my clients, this is one question we cover. And I'm amazed at the fact that most people do not understand what's going on here. Virginia, assume I interview you. We are half an hour in the interview, and in my mind, I say, Virginia is great. Oh, my God, yes, I really consider her very much so. Oh, wow, by the way, can I afford her? This is what occurs in my mind. At that point, I pop the question. So, Virginia, what kind of money are you looking for? Now, please don't misunderstand my question. I'm not negotiating with you. Neither are you negotiating with me because, Virginia, let me remind you, I never made you an offer. I'm just asking the question for the sake of, should I continue my interview or should I stop here? Because let's say I have in my mind, I'm the interviewer. Let's say I have in my mind to pay you $100,000 just for the sake of argument. And you say, Alex, I'm looking for something around 175. You know what I'm thinking? Virginia, there is a lake behind our building. Jump into that lake.
Go, yeah.
You know what? If I have 100 in my mind and you have 175, you and I will never be able to meet. So you know what? You are not negotiating with me. I, as an interviewer, I'm defining, should I continue the interview with you or not? Because if you say 175 and I say 100, the interview will end within seconds. Okay? Now, only when you have a piece of paper in your hand that starts with the words, "Dear Virginia, congratulations, we want to make an offer," only then you are in a position to negotiate with me.
Okay. So all questions until literally the offers on the table are not negotiations. They are to rule out. It sounds like what you're saying.
And by the way, only then I'm open to negotiate with you, because when you're in love with somebody, you know all the impurities in the other person are not seen. When I want you to join my organization, the very last thing I want to go back to my boss and my team saying, "Guys, I have bad news for you. Virginia did not accept our offer." So, that is the time that I'm willing to give you a little bit more, whatever, because I'm terribly embarrassed to go back to my boss and say, "Guess what?
Didn't work out.
Our number one candidate turned us down."
Okay.
That's egg on my face. No way.
Okay. All right. So the anchoring strategy then is really just to make sure that you're aligned with what the role can offer.
Correct. Remember, this stage of the interview, which is stage one. Stage one is they decide to invite you for the interview. They decide when, where, how long, how many people, what question. Everything is in their court. Hopefully, at the end of stage one, they will extend you an offer. Stage one ends with them extending you an offer. Stage two starts at that point. Stage two, you control 100%. Stage two, you negotiate, you ask questions, you call people in the company, you look further into the culture, and you can ask just about any question you want at stage two, because now you have an offer in your pocket, and it is up to you to either accept it or reject it.
Okay. Excellent. Okay, so I'm not sure. I guess this would be stage 3 when, or maybe no, I guess it would happen throughout. I would love to hear about the kinds of questions or comments that are particularly effective when closing out an interview. Okay. Are there one or two that you say, these are ones that you just can't go wrong with?
Yes, absolutely. I have 3 questions that I'm sharing with my client. And this is, Virginia, this is very, very critical, because for sure this question will be asked. At the end of the interview, whenever that end is, the interview will look in your eyes and will say, "Virginia, do you have any question for us?" So this question will happen. I suggest that you come prepared with 3 interview questions.
Okay.
When I say prepared, type it out. And when they say, "Do you have any questions for me?" open your notebook or portfolio or whatever you take with you and say the following sentence. "Yes, I prepared 3 questions." Why is it so important to do it this way? Because you want to differentiate yourself from the other candidates. If you say, "Yes, I prepared 3 questions," and you open your portfolio, and I see that you came to my office with a printed document, this speaks volumes. I can conclude that you're organized. You will always be organized. You plan ahead. All the good qualities are associated with this. And then you don't need to memorize these questions, because you're going to read it.
Okay.
And now, let me go back half a step. Why do you have to say, "Yes, I prepared 3 questions"? You have to say the word 3. Because I remember when I interviewed people and I asked them, "Do you have any question for me?" The last thing I want people to say, "Well, yes, Alex, I have 18 questions that I put together."
So 3 is sort of just the right amount, not too many, not too few?
Well, you see, when I'm saying, "Do you have any question for me?" basically I reach the end of the interview. And I'm willing to keep testing you through your questions, but 5 minutes and get out of my hair. I have other things to do today. I don't want you to come with 18 questions. I don't have time for that.
Right.
Okay. So here are the questions. Mr. Johnson, allow me to open a document here. Mr. Johnson, is there anything about my background that you would like me to clarify at this stage that would otherwise prevent a next step from taking place? With this question, basically you're saying, Mr. Johnson, I'm very, very into this position. Is there anything at this point I should clarify because I want the job? So you will get a response from Mr. Johnson.
Okay.
Please, this is very important. Please do not engage. At that point, all I want you to say, thank you, here's my next question. Do not get engaged. Do not respond to what they say. And you will see in a minute why. And then you say, thank you. And here's question number 2. What are the 3 most important traits that you are looking for in a person hired for this job? Traits is personality traits. Why is this such an important question? Because this is something they need, and this is something they do not have. You remember I said a little earlier, we select for skills, we hire for personality. Your resume does not have personality-aligned words. Your resume has essentially hard skills. Personality or traits is soft skills. Your resume has company dates, function, bullets, accomplishments. Doesn't tell me Virginia is a nice person that can get along with people. Now, they need that because the interview is about identifying the fit with the culture and the personality.
Okay.
And this is where you want to put the monkey on their back. They ask you, do you have any questions for me? Put the monkey on their back. Let them tell you what kind of personality are they looking for.
But you jump into that question without answering the one about, is there anything in my background that you'd like me to clarify?
At this point, please bear with me. At this point, do not answer.
Okay.
Question number 2. Question number 3 is this. Mr. Johnson, I'm curious, what will be the most challenging part of this job? Put the monkey on their back. Let them tell you what they perceive a new person coming to the organization will face as a challenge. Now, once they finish telling you this, you close your book, you initiate your departure, you shake Mr. Johnson's hand, and this is what you say. Mr. Johnson, thank you so much for your time. I'm on my way now. But before leaving, allow me to leave with you one final thought. Mr. Johnson, I'm very, very, very interested in this position. Can I please get your business card? Whatever. So the question is, why do you need to end the interview on this highly emotional state? And the reason is very simple. There is a saying that sounds like this. Logic makes you think. Emotions make you act. If you just end the interview saying, Mr. Johnson, nice meeting you, and you leave the office, 2 weeks later, you're lucky if they remember your name. But if you impact them before you leave with a very, very emotional statement, Mr. Johnson, I'm very, very, very interested in this position. Do you think they will forget that statement? Absolutely not. You stand out and you're different. You ask for the job. You tell them how badly you want it. And this is what they want to hear.
And so are you answering are you responding at all to their identification of personality or soft skills gaps?
So here is what I ask my clients. Okay, the interview is over. What do you do when you go home? Well, the answer is No, the answer is not opening a bottle of wine, by the way. No. The answer is sit down and write a thank you letter. What do you write in your thank you letter? Answering to these 3 questions. Now, why did I say do not engage and do not answer? Because don't answer these difficult questions on the spot. Sit at home. You have already the questions. Answer them leisurely without pressure. And my typical answer to people is compose your answer, dump it on what's called a resume paper, which is good quality paper with matching envelopes, and send it to the hiring manager via FedEx. Why? Because you want to be different. One of the more humorous statements that I say to my clients that I work with them is this. I work out of my office and I have a window. And when I look outside my window, I see 60 zebras. Every zebra looks alike. I need to select one. How do I select one zebra out of 60? Well, one of them is a little purple. Now I can select a zebra. You want to be the purple zebra that I can select. Because you see, I'm not known to invite bad people, bad candidates to my office. Every person I interview, they're handpicked because they are very good. Basically, if you come to an interview, you compete with the creme de la creme. And your job is to beat your competition. Remember, I have only one opening, and assume I invite 5 people. Sometimes, and I can go on and on, sometimes the difference between candidate 1, 2, and 3 are minimal, yes. Absolutely minimal. So how do I make the decision? For me to select you, you need to give me a reason and a justification.
And is it when you are leaving the interview, do you say, thank you for those thoughtful questions? I'm like to give it some thought and get back to you. I feel like you're sort of leaving them empty-handed.
Leaving at that, and because you don't want them to put you in a position that you almost feel that now you have to engage in answering.
So people don't perceive it as rude that you haven't answered the questions?
Virginia, I've been doing it for 30 years.
I know. It makes me nervous.
Honestly, you're the first one questioning this, and the question is a very valid one. But I can tell you, I received many, many compliments from my clients that have gotten jobs that one thing the hiring manager pointed out to them, your questions were excellent. And by the way, your thank you letter, really sending it FedEx, you stood out. I mean, it was very easy for me to walk into my boss's office and tell him why I selected you.
Yeah, no, I love that. And you're right, nobody gets mail anymore. So there's no better way to stand out.
Right.
No, I agree. Thank you. So this last question comes up with a lot of my clients, I imagine yours as well, the concern about age discrimination. And with resume, it's pretty easy to appear timeless, but in interviews, maybe not so much. So curious to know, what are your thoughts on the topic of interview prep and tackling the potential for age discrimination?
Yeah. First of all, remember the number one requirement of hiring manager is cultural fit. And into the cultural fit, a directory is your age. Your age, your sex, your gender, your religion, all those things that you're not supposed to talk about.
Right.
So let you and I agree that age discrimination is absolutely huge. Absolutely huge. So how do you deal with it? Well, I wish you could take 20 years off your age instantly.
Right. With the facelift, yes.
You cannot do that. But one of the tactics that I used when I interviewed, and by the way, I told you, I separated from my company at the age of 60.
Right.
every time I went for an interview, whether they ask or not, I found a way to tell them, I'm physically fit. I work out every day. I love swimming. I love bicycling. Oh my God, I do half marathons. So I play tennis. I always inject something that has to do with my physical fitness. Because look, I cannot take 20 years off my age. Mm-hmm. But if I tell you I'm high energy, I'm involved with sports, I really can put in long hours. I'm not lethargic. I'm not slow. I have vigor and I have energy. That's counterbalancing your perception of me being older.
No, that's true. It counterbalances the unsaid stigma.
Correct.
I would imagine also there's always the concern that as we get older, we don't embrace learning as much. We're not open to new ways of thoughts, and whatever you can do to inject that into the conversation.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. You didn't ask me, but that's one of the things I always say. I have one interview question that I practice with my clients. So tell me about something that you've learned lately. Yeah. The employer wants to hire somebody who is agile and recoiled and ready to jump when they say that we are going to acquire a new company, we need to adopt a new software, we need to learn this. If you seem to be lethargic and not willing to learn and holding back, I don't need you on my team.
Right. You have to show as you said, high energy, adaptability. I agree.
Absolutely.
No, I agree. So this is my very last favorite question. You mentioned that you spend 95% of your time on interview prep, another 5 on salary negotiations. What is next for you? What do you have room for?
Let me preface this. My statement is this. I absolutely love and adore what I do. Virginia, I confess I work 7 days a week, not because I have to, but because I love doing what I do. I love working with my clients, but I will reveal a secret to you, but don't tell anyone, okay? The secret is I love my clients, but more than that, I love when I can develop new material. I teach 2 workshops. I write blogs. And right now I'm working on a new product. Cool. And let me tell you what it is. You know what a webinar is. A webinar is there is a presenter and there are hundreds or dozens of people at the other end passively sitting there and watching. I don't like that. I want to create a technical product which I'm going to have a small number of people that we are connected on my screen. I will have slides. I'm going to make a presentation. But let's say those dozen people that are connected with me via Zoom, not only they can talk to me and hear me and see my slides on their screen, but they can communicate among themselves.
So dynamic and interactive.
I am only the moderator. It's literally what I'm doing in my workshops. People can talk among themselves and also, so everybody is involved. So this is a very dynamic approach to teaching and learning.
Oh, so you're bringing your workshops to the virtual space.
Exactly. The size of my business is the globe.
And how if people want to learn more about you, where would be the best way for them to connect with you? I have in your bio your LinkedIn and the landingexpert.com, but is there another place where people should connect with you?
Probably the best is my website, which is landingexpert.com.
Okay.
Another way, which is much more practical, is LinkedIn.
Okay.
I am very, very, very big on LinkedIn. Actually, I maxed out.
That's where you and I met.
I don't want to be sounding like bragging, but fact is...
nobody can connect with you. Can they follow you?
Well, no. Actually, I have 30,000 first-level connections on LinkedIn. you can still connect with me because I keep it less than 30,000 because I want people to be able, but I became very selective. I accept only people that reside in the United States, and I accept only people who have a picture with their LinkedIn profile.
Great.
So yeah, definitely I'm very open, and I'm here to help others.
Well, Alex, thank you so much. I love the advice you gave. It was fresh and new. Some of it I'd never heard before. So I thought I'd heard it all. So thank you very, very much.
It's my pleasure. Can you tell that I love doing what I do?
Yes, I do. 7 days a week.
7 days a week. Okay, good. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Alex.
You've been listening to Resume Storyteller with Virginia Franco. To learn more about storytelling strategies to catch the eye of today's skim online readers, hiring and decision makers, go to www.virginiafrancoresumes.com.